So I've been asked to make a little video about chickens and how to keep them. So here's a little video with a number of little points that you can take on board. So this is Rocket. Hi Rocket, how are you doing? That's Gamora. Sorry, that's Groot. Getting mixed up. That's Gamora. Yeah. So I've got 3 chickens. So chickens are flock animals, so you need to keep them in a small flock, and about 3 is the minimum that you should they should go for. And if you're a first time chicken breeder or a chicken keeper, best to keep three chickens. No, don't go more than that. I've got a few rabbits as well. Yeah. That's Mocha, and that's Miffy over there. Hey Mocha, how you doing? Hey. So we've had these chickens since they were little chicks. That's why they're quite comfortable with us. We can go up them and touch them and stuff, and they're quite happy. Same with the rabbits. But if you do get chickens, if you buy chickens that are kind of almost at adult stage, they'll be a bit more skittish around you. They won't be as friendly. So if you want them, keep them as pets. Best to get them as little chicks. Then you can handhold them and they get used to you. So this is the chicken coop. So that's the rabbit hutch. So I won't talk about that too much just now. So the chicken coop is here. So they got water, they got their food, which is kind of hung up off the ground so the slugs can't get to it. They got a little ramp. The chickens like to be slightly higher up, so you normally have it off the ground, and they go there. And when it's really cold in winter, I normally close this this door, but for the most of the year the door's open. I think they just go in by themselves at dusk time, and they'll come out when the sun comes up. So maybe we look inside. So they got little roost bars where they can stand on, and they got a little... What are you doing in there? You're not meant to be in there. That's chickens. And they got little nest boxes on this side. So you need at least 1 nest box per 3 chickens. So I've got like 3 nest boxes, but we only put straw in 1, and they go and sleep in there. There's a lot of feathers. They've been molting recently, so they're shedding a lot of feathers. Oops. So as you can see, it's getting a bit muddy in here, so I need to put some more wood chip. All the wood chips kind of sunk into the wood. And I've got some kind of things that they can kind of stand on and give them a bit more interesting thing. So regarding the chicken coop itself, it has to be fairly secure, it has to be fox proof. So as you can see, I've got chicken wire surrounding all entrances, and then there's a brick wall on 2 sides, and then on 3 sides, and then there's chicken wire. So it has to be before the roof was actually a plastic mesh that I had put on the roof, and we actually had a fox attack. A fox climbed onto the wall. It was okay for years, but then I built this kind of a compost heap, a compost dump thing, and the fox, I think, jumped onto the post, jumped onto the wall, and got into the roof and killed a number of chickens, which is quite sad. So yeah, so now I've beefed up the security a bit. I've put wire mesh on the roof, so fox can't get into the roof. So the floor, fox are quite foxy, and they can't dig underneath fences, so the wire mesh or the fence has to go into the ground slightly. So what I've done, so the wire mesh goes down and then it goes along the ground, and then I put earth on top of the ground, so if he starts digging in the corner, he'll got wire mesh underneath himself. So that's the kind of security aspect of the chickens. To actually keep them chickens are very easy to keep. You just need to feed them, have feed and have water, and have grounds to roam around, and they'll be fine. So the chickens, 3 of them could live in this kind of area. I think you need was it 3 square meters per chicken is the kind of minimum. I think maybe best look that up. What's the minimum area you need? our chickens run about the whole garden during the daytime, and if we're in the house. When we're not in the house, we normally lock them into the chicken coop in case some wandering cat comes along. Cats are not normally a big problem. Any cats that have come into a garden, I've kind of shooed away and shouted at them, and cats are generally kind of lazy. They don't tend to come back if they've been shouted at. So most of the local cats don't really come into the chicken coop, into the garden anymore. They did initially, kind of to see what the chickens were all about, but most of them now don't come in. And fox at night time could be an issue. That's why we always lock the chicken coop at night time. So like I was saying, if you want to keep them in the chicken coop all the time, it can be done. You just need to give them enough things to keep them occupied. If you've got bushes in there, that's good. They can just pick away at the bushes and stuff. They will churn up the grass quite a lot because it's quite a decent sized garden. There's only 3 of them. The grass is fine. If I had maybe 10 or something, this grass would be quite in a poor state because they do start churning it up and digging and all this kind of stuff. If you want to keep rabbits as well, just need to be careful. Don't go for male rabbits. Male rabbits are a bit more aggressive and they'll actually bully the chickens. So both of these are female rabbits, and obviously the chickens are female. Male animals just tend to be aggressive in any species, and they don't very productive. But obviously chickens will lay eggs, and a rooster won't lay eggs. What else? So you need to clean the chicken coop out every few days. We sometimes get a bit lazy and don't clean it out for maybe a week or something. You're not meant to be in here. Get out. What are you doing in here? Hey? Come on, Miffy. Hey, come on, darling. What are you doing in there? Why you come? Inquisitive rabbit. Anyway, so you're meant to clean the chicken coop out every few days just to keep it clean. We've also got a number of cleaning things I can just show you. So we've got straw, obviously, and sawdust. Sawdust just lines the bottom, so it's just easier to clean out, so the chicken poo doesn't kind of stick to the bottom. And we normally just scatter this powder. It's just kind of it's just powder that you can squirt, kind of thing. So that keeps all the little bugs and flies kind of kills, and it's all organic and safe and everything, so it's all quite natural. And that just kills all the little bugs and flies, so you don't need to be worried about that. Another thing you might need is chicken grit. So this stuff here, this is chicken grit. It's basically little shells to give calcium to the chickens. So the chickens, they don't have any teeth. Oh, sorry. They don't have any teeth. So they can't actually grind the food. So what they do, they eat little stones, and that which goes into their gut, and they'll swallow the food whole, and then it goes into their gut and it kind of starts rubbing against the stones, and that's how they break the food down. So they do need little stones and stuff. So if you have a coop like this which doesn't have any natural stones, this is all kind of wood chip and stuff, doesn't have any natural stones, then you will need to supply them with chicken grit, which is like this kind of stuff. So 3 things you need: sawdust, chicken grit, straw, food, and water. And that's all you really need for the chickens, actually. What else? Rocket, what are you saying, honey? What are you saying? Rocket's injured her comb a little bit. You can just see this kind of dried blood on the top of her comb. I don't know if they've been having a little scrap or something, but you can see on the actual feeder, you can see where her blood's kind of. So she seems okay. Doesn't seem to be too perturbed by it, so it's all dried up, so it should be okay. Yeah, the chickens are another thing. Chickens are poop machines. They will poop everywhere, and they will destroy the garden if it's quite small. I normally kind of hose this down, but you can see little droppings here and there. I hose it down every few days just to keep it clean, otherwise it just does get quite messy. But that's if you're kind of letting them out into the bigger garden. They are quite docile creatures. They won't tend to leave the garden if even if you've got a small fence. You can see my garden's fairly well enclosed, but if you had a smaller fence, they can fly up to 5 feet possibly, but they generally tend to keep inside the garden. They don't tend to kind of escape too much, so they are quite docile in that way. What you can do, you can actually clip the feathers, which stops them kind of jumping too high. So if you were kind of concerned about that, you could trim the feathers a little bit, and that kind of just stops them flying too high. You just get a scissor actually and just kind of cut. It's just like 2 or 3 feathers on the ends of the wings is the kind of main flying feathers, so you can just trim them, and that's the stop them jumping so high. But it hasn't really been a problem. They have escaped a few times. Neighbours have given called us, rang the doorbell and said, listen, your chickens is out in the front garden, that's because I think they jump onto the bins at the back there, you can see them, and then they jump onto the fence and they escape. So I put a bit of chicken wire just on the one side to stop them kind of jumping onto the bins. But they normally do that when they're young. So chickens live around 5 years. 4 to 5 years, depending how productive they are. More eggs they lay, the shorter their lifespan, because it takes it out of their bodies. So, and also different breeds lay different eggs. Lay different number of eggs. So some breeds lay more eggs, and some breeds lay less eggs. Some breeds get fatter and more used for feed, for meat, and some chickens lay more eggs, so are used more for egg production. So these ones, the breeds, that's a Road Rock, the black one. That's a Isla Red, is that right? I can't remember what that one is called. But there's a number of different breeds. You can look them up. There's about more than 20 different types of breeds, and and you can see what kind of egg production they are and all that kind of stuff. So if you get them from chicks and they grow up together, they won't be fighting as much. But if you do introduce new hens to kind of new adult hens to other adult hens, they will have quite a bit of a scrap to establish the pecking order. That is actually a real thing. So there's a hierarchy amongst the chickens, and they have to have a fight to establish who. And so for a few weeks, it can be a bit distressing because they just keep attacking each other and they can't draw blood and stuff. So just be aware that if you introduce chickens, different adult chickens together, they will have unsettled time initially. So it's best to kind of get them from a flock. A flock that's already established the pecking order, so they won't have such huge kind of fights, or get them from chickens as little chicks. And then obviously they grow up together and they've established the order earlier on. They do need kind of things to entertain them. So obviously in this garden there's a different variety of different types. They got bushes, grass, and they got earth that they can just dig away at. They do like to dig. They dig, and they also have dust baths. So they do have that usually in summer, when obviously things dry. When it gets wet, it's too wet for them to have a dust bath. But they just rummage around in dust, and that's part of their cleaning procedure. So you need a variety of different surfaces to keep them entertained and keep them happy. I think that's about it. Rabbits, you got anything to add to this matter? Nothing to add? Hey, nothing to add? So these are outdoor rabbits. Obviously they just stay outdoors all day long. even though they got a hutch, they always tend to be sitting in the garden even at night time. About the chicken food, so these guys eat this layers pellets, and if I just show you what it looks like, it's just small pellets like this, and that's all they need. That's all the food they need. They don't need anything else. This is full of protein and all the protein they need. They do need to eat quite a lot, because you know, if they're laying an egg every day or every second day, there you go guys, laying an egg every day, they don't need to eat quite a lot. If you can imagine the size of the egg compared to their body and stuff. So this is all they need. I mean, we normally give them a few treats here and there. You know, we got dried worms which we feed them, any scraps from the kitchen we just throw them out, just read up seeing to make sure that they can't eat those kind of foods, but generally they'll eat most foods, and they'll be happy with it. But that's that. I mean, that's all they need. Is actually, that has everything, all the nutrients that they need. In terms of eggs, the chickens start laying eggs around 12 to 15 weeks, about 3 months old. They start laying eggs as they become kind of adult at that stage, and they will keep laying eggs for the next few years. So the most productive is up till about 2 years, and then they start to peter off. So when they're in the most productive stage, they'll be laying an egg every day or every second day. So typically you would get maybe 2 eggs every 3 days per chicken. But during winter time they stop production, or they bring it right down. So these particular these particular chickens, they haven't laid an egg for a good number of weeks now. Soon as it started getting colder, they haven't laid eggs. I think the two factors is colder, so they need more food for themselves, and also the daylight hours is very short now, so it starts to get dark at 4, and they're normally in their coop by then, and so they're obviously not eating when they're in their coop. So they haven't laid eggs for a number of weeks now, but once spring starts and the weather starts to warm up a bit, and the days get a bit longer, they will start going back to their egg laying stage. So yeah, so they lay eggs up to they'll keep laying eggs, but they'll kind of start slowing down. And the most fertile is up to about 2 years. So sometimes we were getting, like, you know, we had 3 chickens, so we were getting 2 to 3 eggs every day. So we normally give them to neighbors and stuff, because it's too many for us. But at the moment they're not getting any eggs at all, which is a bit of a shame. Of course, you have to go and buy some. So that's it. I think that's everything I can think of. There you go. Well, I hope that's a nice introduction to you for chicken breeding.